site saying what works for him is doesn't feel like there's something wrong. But that's how it is.
All right, we're going to make it the last talk of the day. Does anybody have any energy left? Did you guys learn something today? Yes. Make some new connections. Alright. Well, mainly what I want to do is I want to get to know you folks in the room a little bit better. How we kind of tailor this down. The three things that we're talking about today: VC, GPL, and WordPress. Not necessarily in that order, all kind of mixed together, but I want to know who I'm talking to, so I need your help with it. How many of you are bloggers? Okay, is that a business for you? Business bloggers. Okay. All right. How many of you are business owners? You run a business and WordPress is your engine. Okay. How many devs where WordPress is all you do? All right. Passionistas? Anybody that just loves it? All right. All right. Money people. Any VC people? Oh, sneakers. You guys are roommates. All right. So just a little bit of background about why I wanted to pitch this talk to this audience. Startups have been my life. The last 10 years, it's been everything that every business that I've ever been involved with has been a startup. I'm passionate about software. I love making things easier to use and more fun and faster than it's been before. And lastly, I'm running an angel-backed WordPress company. Right? So, is anybody else in the room doing that? Excellent. Good to meet you. So as far as the company that I represent, what we do, we run a no-charge GPL software company, which basically means that we distribute our software under GPL. We back them with premium plugins and services, mainly for geolocation, mobile, social, and dynamic. So if you're doing like multivariate testing, or if you're building a mobile website, or in the future if you're building a mobile application, you'll be able to use our software outside of WordPress in order to build one of those things.
What is GPL?
GPL, General Public License. So, as far as the goals for today, we've already kind of covered this, but the goals of this of WordCamp altogether, I want this to be interactive. This talk is, at the end of the day, I recognize you all may be a little tired, but let's do this. If you guys need to connect with somebody in the room, we hit a point where you're like, I need to talk to somebody. You can't all talk to everybody at the same time. Use the talk as a conduit to who you need to get to. As far as like what we're going to get out of 4 o'clock or at least at 5 o'clock, we want you employing WordPress with a passion. Understand what GPL is and how it applies to you in your business, and have a venture capitalist. All right. Recognize the power of WordPress. I love this platform. Is there anybody in the room that was doing web development 10 years ago? All right. How about 5 years ago? 3 years ago? How much did WordPress change your life?
I switched languages.
Are you recruiting more people to this party? Is there anybody here that this is your first WordPress event?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Round of hand for those. This isn't a pyramid thing, but you know, it's a love party. I mean, come on. This piece of software has really just made. I used to be a web developer, and then I dropped it. I was like, I'm out of this. I hate it. This linking includes navigation. This is bullshit. I need to do something else with my life and my attention. Because I'm too smart to be stumbling on this small of stuff, right? Along came WordPress. Life came back. I had to learn about installing a database, basically setting up a basic CMS installation, FTPing, all the things that I needed to do before, but all of a sudden I was on rails. I could publish pages, I could publish a blog. It was an amazing experience. No, I mean, I need to watch my nomenclature. But mainly, what I hope you pulled out of today, especially if you're one of the new people in the crowd, is that WordPress is insanely powerful. Learn how to use it to its fullest extent, out of the box, it should be able to change your destiny. As far as themes, right? Are there any theme vendors in the room?
Sort of, kind of.
No themers here? Themer? Austin, up and coming theme vendor. Okay, what about plugin developers? You're coming next. Alright, good. Alright, as far as themes go, I mean, we really can't stress this enough. Back in the day when you used to go through the process of building a website, it was pretty labor-saving. You worked with a designer for a while, you got comps made, you had to cut them up, that was painful. Then you implemented them maybe into CSS, maybe into inline style sheets. It was a beating. And then once you were there, you were stuck. It was like if you wanted to make changes, that was a real beating. And what I would really like this room to do when you leave here today, go back and re-examine your theme strategy. Understand how many themes are out there for free and how many are just $50 away. Go out, download 5 free ones, buy a couple of them. Go into the admin panels of these themes and understand how these theme vendors are trying to teach you how to articulate your message. Never before has it been this easy for you to change yourself online, right? In the past, you were in a rut. Now you can test. You can ask your audience, hey, how do you like my new look? I'm going to change it next week. You know, and in a couple of hours, you know, on a Sunday night, you can go in and retheme most of the stuff that you need to do. And some of that's going to depend on how big your site is, but for I think most of the people in the room, you could do that if you needed to. And I would encourage you to. Next, recognize the power of plugins, right? Are there any people that are just insane about plugins in this room? Insane, like you crawl the .org plugin repository, like looking for the newest stuff.
Yeah, one.
Okay, next one of these that you go to, I would like to see more hands in the room if you ever get asked this question again. .org, the .org repository is like the power center, right? You look at what's available in there, all-in-one SEO pack, super cache, just about like anything that you want to do regarding SEO, site performance. You guys got to be using these tools.
Is it a website, you said?
It is, okay, so this is, we'll go back up. WordPress.org, you're going to click on Extend. Under Extend, you're going to see two options. You're going to see themes, and you're going to see plugins. I don't know how long ago they added it. They do have a commercial section for the themes, where they link out to all the premium theme vendors. So if you run we found a band theme company the other day that was kind of interesting. And they don't do that for plugins yet. So, and inside plugins, I mean, think about things that you want your site to do and just search it. If you want to add your Twitter feed, you want to add Facebook or Twitter integrations or, contact form setup. How many people in the room use contact form setup? Awesome. If you haven't used it or you've never played with it, interacting with your customers has never been so easy, or people that are visiting your website. Contact form setup. What's that? C-Forms as well. And then if you want to see that same thing on Nitrous, go pay $49 and download Rabbit Forms.
Yeah.
And you will seriously walk away from your computer feeling like Hercules. Is there any here? Okay.
Discount code for Gravity Forms. I saw someone tweet it today.
Yeah.
I'll never love WordCamp in 2010.
So
WCL.
go hunt that down. Like if it's $20 of your budget to go in and download what is pretty much insane functionality for your WordPress site, I mean, you can run surveys. You can have conditional menus where you're like, ask one question, then if they say yes, ask these 5 other ones. If they say no, ask like any kind of treat survey that you want to do. You can do all your autoresponders. You can drag and drop all your questions. It's a beautiful piece of code. And it's cheap. It's cheap.
Wow.
Recognize the community, right? We're not at a Drupal conference.
We're still trying to figure it out.
We're not at the .NET New conference. We're here, right? We all surround what is just an amazing software. I mean, you look at WordPress, how fast it's growing, how quickly they're adding things to core, and look at all of you around it. You're part of something special. You got to recognize that, cooperate, work with one another. Find somebody in the audience that you couldn't do something with before today, and then tomorrow you can with that person. Build something great. If you have time, I recommend picking up this guy's book. This is Tony Hsieh. Wrote a book called Delivering Happiness. This gentleman is all about building company culture, believes that brand is only a reflection of how good your company culture is. I don't know that there's a blogger, brand owner, VC, angel, anybody in the room that couldn't benefit from reading this book. It'll help you understand sitting down at your computer and working with your coworkers or other people you network with in a better way. Understand GPL. So there's been a lot of talk in the community lately about general public license, what it means, if it's good. We've had some people in the community trying to publish some things not under the general public license. And I mean, you asked the question before, what is GPL? First, before we really get into this, I need to make a disclaimer. That guy on the left is King Stallman. He's a bail bondsman. I cannot get you out of jail for anything that you do from this topic. I know the basics. I'm a software entrepreneur. I know how to use GPL to my advantage, and I'd like to teach you to do the same. The guy, you cannot modify that and pass it on. The same rights that were bestowed to you when you opened that zip file of WordPress, or when you opened that plugin, or when you opened that theme, those rights must be passed on to the person that takes your code that you modify, right? Last but not least, patents are for everybody. So if you patent something with GPL technology, it belongs to the world. It belongs to everybody that uses GPL. You can't go innovate something on WordPress real quick and try and put a stamp on it. It doesn't work like that. You will stop other companies from going in there and trying to patent the same thing, which is pretty cool. And you can get your name on stopping it. But as far as the patent goes, it's for everybody. So some of you that are really involved in the community recently saw a talk between a particular theme vendor trying to publish his code underneath a different license, and and Matt Mullenweg. Everybody know who Matt is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, Matt Mullenweg, guy that started WordPress, right? He actually pulled WordPress from another open source project, modified it, put out the first version of the Word, right? It's since gone through 8 versions. How many? Like a bunch of versions. It's now in like 3.2, I believe. 3.1. So whatever, if you're sitting in this room and you're like, I want to build something awesome for WordPress, just know that that is going to be GPL. Don't try to run, don't try to hide. GPL. GPL is for every business and every blogger, right? If you're a business and you look at your competitor over there trying to rebuild the wheel that you already have, your nice shiny WordPress wheel, right? You're going to watch them spend a lot of money trying to create the same leverage you can get by opening up that GPL licensed copy of WordPress, right? They can try to build their own CMS. They can try to build their own SEO plugin. They can try to build their own content form. When I talk about you as a community, you guys are leopards compared to all those other people that are sitting on other technology. We should be charting down, hunting, and killing those people. And I'm not kidding. You should be. If you're not, you should be looking in the mirror and being like, why am I not beating the crap out of these people? Because you have every tool at your advantage. Lastly, as a publisher, if you're a company and you have the opportunity to publish something into the GPL, that is a beautiful opportunity for engagement. To give somebody else the same tool that you needed in order to do a job, to say, hey, you know what, world, we needed to do this job. You may work in the same industry, you may work in a different one. Use this tool. You can connect us via this tool. It's a great way to advertise. GPL is for every developer, right? So today we've been talking about all these different kinds of technology. How many people on the dev track upstairs? Lots of them. Was some of that stuff way above your head? Nice, only one of those people raised
I
their
did.
hand. Well, congratulations to you for sitting in that room, which is great, definitely up in the ante. Everybody else, I bow to you. Because some of that stuff is crazy. But regarding like what this technology is, I mean, GPL is about layers. It's about a lamp stack, right? And you can use other technologies, of course. But it is about segments of technology that are wedged together, right? We see a lamp stack. On the end of that, we see WordPress. Are you sitting in that room, and are you sitting in this room, and are you going to add the next layer? Are you going to add something in there that everybody else is going to want to write code into or want to engage to WordPress through you, right? Think about it. Better your layer, you know, and I don't know a developer that doesn't secretly think about these things at night. More use, more fame, more fortune, even if it's free. Last but not least, the takeaway. Use GPL to be bigger than you are. If you're a business, leverage it. If you're a developer, figure out how to help other people. This guy, Jeff Jarvis, super nice guy, wicked smart. This book is all about understanding yourself, your personal business as a platform, right? Understand, basically think like a Google, but even if you're not Google size, how you can still behave in the same capacity. Also, great commentary on social engagement. He goes through a lot of stories about Dell and about how you need to behave online in order to really, be engaged and have not control over your brand, but at least brand presence in all the places that you need. Last but not least, recognize the power of venture capital, right?
Yay.
Who here is interested in raising money for a project? All right. How many of you already have money for a project? How many of you don't want it? Think outside money is bad. Good. All right.
I'll be there.
The world takes all kinds. So, I mean, seeing as there's sort of a limited interest set, we do this kind of stuff fairly briefly. But I just, you guys are my community, and I love you, and I feel like I can sit down and with any one of you and have a really good conversation about what you're doing with this technology, right? And I'm not, from the first slide, as far as, a VC equal Darth Vader, they're not all bad. But as far as like arming yourself in the conversation with venture capitalists, you absolutely have to understand that if you are going into a conversation with somebody about them giving you money, your strongest position is when you don't need it. You definitely do not want to drive into a conversation where the only way you can get something done is by taking a huge sum of money from somebody. It's just a pathway to failure. Not only will they recognize that and probably take your business from you, but you won't ever have that appreciation for knowing, well, at least I was on the path. At least I was making my way towards what I needed to do. And there's lots of different bootstrap strategies and books that you can read, but I just want to talk about the different kinds of money so that you know your options. As far as like if you're going to do a transaction, the major types of transaction, there's debt and there's equity transactions. I mean, if you are putting your company on the block and you need $25,000, of course you can approach banks, you can approach private money, but debt, they all fall into these two major categories. So debt financing, that's, in the standard term of a loan. I'm going to take $25,000 from you, I'm going to repay you $30,000. So loans plus interest. On the other side, there's equity financing. I'm going to take $25,000 from you, and you now own a piece of my company, right? And you can carve transactions up just about however you want. As far as credit cards, right? Credit card, fast and easy, limit your risk to your personal assets. I mean, as far as like, there's nothing better than just being like, hey, I need that, and going to buy it, and not having to ask somebody first. Right? As long as you know that you're going to work yourself out of that, not a bad financing strategy. I kind of wish more entrepreneurs, at least for the smaller stuff, not for huge amounts of leverage, but use that in order to get their projects going. You will have cash flow implications later if you overuse it, but I mean, and again, this really all depends what's in your wallet, right? As far as raising money from family and friends, right? When you're going to look for money, one of the most important characteristics of money is the intelligence of the money. $5,000 from somebody that's really connected in the right industry can mean more than $500,000 from somebody that has no clue what you're doing, right? You need to understand how those things balance out, and also understand the leverage of that intelligence of the money. So as far as like family and friends, they may be inclined to bet too much money on you. They want to see you successful, but they may not be smart at what you're doing. Respect that. Only borrow what they can afford to lose. Understand client funding. So a lot of you want to build things, right? And this goes into the GPL conversation a little bit ago about having a company fund the development of a plugin. Have any of you done client-funded development? How'd that work? Good? So client-funded development, you go out, you sell a whole bunch of orders, you're honest with your clients, you say, Mr. Client, I think you really like this, I'm going to go out and build this. I tell you what, I will sell this to you at cost or at this limited figure because I haven't built it yet and I need a whole bunch of money to go through and go and develop it. The minute it's ready, you get the first copy, right? The reason why this kind of funding is amazing is because it doesn't involve really any debt. It doesn't really involve anybody on your balance sheet. The only problem is what happens when things go bad, right? When you've blown through all of your client budget and you can't go sell more units, what happens to you? So I think what you're probably picking up from this by now is that you're understanding more of the options, but there's no like silver bullet for financing a company. As far as the SBA, SBIC, go to that website, I say no more. It's just, it's amazing there. You actually can get venture capital from the government through an SBIC.
SBIC now.
Yeah.
Big time.
You know, Tim Draper, up on Sand Hill Road, those guys are a licensed SBIC. You know, there's lots of different ways to get money through the government, through those institutions. A lot of people don't know that you don't actually get money from the SBA. The SBA licenses other institutions to lend them money. So you got to do your own research there. Angel funding, right? So I run an angel funding company. Lots of footwork is involved in finding the right angel, right? There's angel associations, there's networking to death, there's finding these people that somehow have influence over the future that you're trying to create. There's beautiful things that can come out of angel funding. One, you can really find a woman or a man that wants to live vicariously through you, and that's a great match. You can find somebody that says, look, I see a little bit of myself in this person 40 years younger than I am. After all my success, I want to bless that person with some cash. It's a great situation when you can find the right fit. Not as time consuming as closing like a venture capital deal. Often deals are a little bit simpler in structure. Often involve lots less money though. I mean, you can raise an angel round of anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000. You can do them bigger than that, but that's kind of like wandering out of territory. One thing that I would again caution you with, angels, it's smart money. Sometimes it's smarter than you are, right? Recognize that when you go up to bat against these people, they know what kind of position you're in. If your business is booming and you're cash flowing and you want money to aid your growth, they'll recognize that. If they look at your balance sheet and they're like, this guy's a paycheck away from trouble, do something. First and foremost, what I can tell you, it's all about your slide deck. It's all about your slide deck and your presentation. Angels, VC, they understand the risks they're taking, and they're interested in swinging for the fence too. Most angel funds, they range between $100 and $2 million. They bet anywhere from $3 million to $35 to $40 million on any given project. In order for the formula to work out for them, they need to own 30 to 60% of your company. So when you think about that equity partner and that $3 million, think about not owning your company, and then determine how important is that $3 million. Then do it another way. This guy, I've run into him on a few different occasions. It's hard not to, right? He's a family guy. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's done a lot of things right. He's run his own venture fund. If you don't know the guy, it's Guy Kawasaki. The book is called The Art of the Start. As far as any of you, if you're looking to build your own company, build your own brand, This guy will walk you through the basics of transactions, even everything down to printing t-shirts, right? Never print white t-shirts, because nobody likes to wear them, and you can't really read them from far away. Every sort of like rule about running a good startup, you can learn in that book. So as far as like if you are a WordPress entrepreneur, just some words of advice, always be ready to bootstrap. Your business is always strongest when you're cash flowing. Funding may come late or never come. Sorry, I'm drinking water. You only make your future deal better by staying in motion. Know your offering and your structure. GPL is going to be a curveball for a lot of people that you're going to talk to about capital. It's important for you to know what it is, how it applies to your business, and what your strategy and position is around it. You can use it to your advantage. I definitely have. GPL is one of the strongest parts of our service offering. I would encourage you really to do some thinking about it. As far as takeaways, does everybody love WordPress a little bit more?
Yes.
Awesome. Could you leverage GPL in a conversation? Do you know more about it? Yeah. Give me that. That was late. And you know more about your options for financing your companies. Awesome. All right, questions? Get a hold of me there. That's my Twitter handle. That's my phone number. A lot of people ask me about advice on companies. Best thing to do, email me. I'm happy to consult with other people, especially in the space. I think that we're definitely stronger if we band together, and I think that it's something that we all should be learning from each other. So I know that we're just about, we're way past time, but does anybody have a question or anything like that?
What's your take on the GPL version 2 versus version 3? Is it published every all of your tools version 3, or is there?
You know, we have a lead consultant that looks at that with us. Everything that we've pushed out has been standard version 2. I can embrace version 3. There's a few things in there that are a little bit more loaded. Anybody else?
I have a question, please. So I can better understand, what was your purpose for doing this business?
I want the community to be strong. You know, I think that as far as like we're already all cheaters in our own right, and we can all run and bootstrap our own businesses, blogs. We can do so much for so free. You can build an enterprise with $1,000 in WordPress. I just want to see this continue to move and continue to go faster. There's other people that aren't our friends that are moving into the space, and they've got money behind them.
What does that mean?
So, like,
Somebody's going to take WordPress over?
no, there's spectators, right? There's people that are sitting on the sidelines being like, wow, look at that WordPress thing moving really fast. I represent a big fund. What kind of business can we create to take advantage of those people? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of the WordPress people?
Yeah. As far as like services.
I think the other thing is, right, you're building a software and services business, right?
Yes.
And the software, when he publishes under the GPL, it has to stay free and all this. So he's getting money, investing, and all this stuff stays free. Where there's a lot of incentive to hide that code.
Like
and sell
Monsanto
that.
trying to copyright seeds.
Yes. Yeah, so he's giving away new free hybrid seeds that grow bigger.
You're saying don't let that happen. The way not to let it happen is to
Well, I think
get more WordPress users.
yeah, I mean, as far as the, I wanted to see people realize their dreams too. I mean, it's not so much about locking other people out, it's about the people in this room doing what they know they can with the right financing. It's really tough to bootstrap business. I've been part of the board where we failed because we didn't have enough money.
Sorry, you don't.
No, I do not control financing. So, you can sell. You can. Yeah, but you have to do the first the right way to distribute it. Jesus converted to yeah. He was basically brought out into the open, and Chris Pierce basically said, look, this is something that I need to publish in GPL. Every other framework is published in GPL.
it's something to take home and you learn something, you met some new people. It's about 5:30. Everyone's more than welcome to join us at the after party, which is going to be at the Custom Hotel. And I will put out some directions right now so you don't ask. It is not. Last year we were at the upper pool bar, and this year's going to be in the lobby. There's a pool bar, there's a pool party happening, so if you want to sneak into that one, by all means.
And you're saying there's a charge for park, right?
There is. You can find street parking if you like, but it's very scarce. You can more than welcome to. There is a discount also for parking there, $11 instead of $20.
If you don't park in the shopping center, they'll tell you.